Ill Sound Radio, we are back in the building.
Yes, sir. Hey, I like that little fade out right there, though, man. This Ill Sound Radio checking in, y'all. It's your boy Groove Nuke. I'm right here with my guy Everyday J. Thank you for tuning in to Ill Sound Radio, top of the 1 o'clock hour. We got Ben and Tyrell of the Real One Show with us. How y'all feeling today?
Hey, what's going on? Shit, it's good to be here.
Yes, man. Yes, man. Yes, man. Let's go. Happy Sunday. Thank y'all for coming through.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's start from the beginning, bro. Where are you from?
Yes, I'm from New York originally, and what's crazy is Tyrell's actually also from Jersey, so it's like we ended up both out here for school.
Hey, that's crazy.
We've been out here 4 or 5 years at this point.
For sure.
Just getting tapped in locally with all sorts of music. I mean, you know, Tyrell, you could speak a little bit about like your time in Columbia and all that, but I was really like going to shows, writing for my student radio station, coming out doing coverage, and ended up getting like sort of tapped in that way. I feel like you discover one artist and then they can put you onto like 3 or 4 more.
Fact.
100%.
Absolutely.
I mean, the community here is like one of the factors that really like draw me like to this city. Like I came here the first time and I just immediately fell in love. But once I got involved in the scene, I started going to shows. I realized like, man, everyone just shows like love out here and like supports each other in a way that like you don't really get to see too often. So it's so easy, like Ben was saying, like you meet one artist, you go to one show, you find out about 3 or 4 more. Mm-hmm. So when you're going to shows like that, it's very, how do you put it? Like you get tapped into the scene and you get to like fall in love with, you know, all the different players because everyone is just so genuine out here. It's a really beautiful thing.
For sure. And man, we love to hear that narrative, man.
Facts.
For sure. We love to hear that because like, you know, most people we bring to this show and that's doing impact in the city of Chicago, they've been there. You know what I'm saying? So to hear y'all came from all the way to the East Coast and the city embraced y'all and y'all able to provide a platform off of just a genuine start, you know, we need to hear stuff like that. So that's what's up, man.
Shit. Yeah. I mean, can I curse on this?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
just keep it to a minimum because YouTube is changing. You know?
Yeah.
For sure.
No, I got you. Yeah, and I mean, even when we like, you know, try to like do our content interviews and all that, it's like you got to really figure out, you know, what is kind of working with the algorithms and all that. Like TikTok has a lot of stuff they don't really want you to say. They don't want that to fly. But like, yeah, I mean, you know, I think it's cool to have like that fresh perspective because I feel like Chicago is really the music scene that I got into more so than New York because I grew up out in the burbs and it was just tough to get even into the city. Like I wasn't even 18, so it's like there weren't even that many shows to like go to, and it was tough to get homies to go all the way out there. It was tougher to even like get a train ticket and all that. That was like round trip $20, and then the price of the ticket. So it was just more accessible here. I was like, you know, taking the train to shows and all that, and you know now I got my car out here. But I mean, it's been easy. Yeah, it's been nice.
Both of y'all went to Columbia?
I went to Northwestern. Yeah, the two of us met actually like South by Southwest this past year.
Oh, true that.
Yeah, we had a homie that introduced us because Columbia was putting on like a this showcase down there, and they brought in Real Ones to actually host and sponsor the event. And so I was like doing the hosting thing. Tyrell was on the production team for like the event, and you know, we just ended up kicking it the whole week. Like, I wasn't really down there with, like, a bunch of friends. I was just, like, you know, just going to go around, see what happened. Like, South by is a great place. You know, you just go and, like, network, meet new folks. Like, we're passionate about the music like you are. So I love that. And, you know, we bonded right away, I'll say.
Right. And it's like I was out there with a class, but at the same time, like, the only thing we really were there to do and had to do was this showcase. So outside of, like, the showcase, which was, like, on a Wednesday from, like, 10 to like 3 p.m. like we had free reign to like do whatever we want, go see the panels we want to see, go see the shows and artists we want to see. I mean, I had a blast that week. It was like one of the best weeks of my life. And like literally you're just like networking and, you know, being in rooms with all these crazy people where some of them you only ever read about. So it's like, damn, how you 5 feet away from me right now?
Exactly.
But at the same time, like, you know, you got to take advantage of those opportunities and you got to take the gems for what they are and really like lock everything in. Like I was in there like taking notes, recording stuff on voice memos so I could play it back later. Like I did not want to lose a single bit of knowledge because at the end of the day, like these are the people who, you know, are in the place you want to be. So you got to make sure to take their words very seriously.
Real talk.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying?
What year did y'all both come to Chicago?
So I got here like 2018, fall of 2018 is when I started school. And then I was really like, I was just actually it was really like because I did school in the middle of the pandemic, like midway through, and I was spending a lot of time because Northwestern's out of Evanston, of course, so it's like, and now kind of actually being in the city, I'm like everything is so much closer, like it's crazy, it's so much easier to get to places, but like I think I just ended up feeling disconnected from a lot of what was going on in Evanston as the pandemic was hitting, and I was like, let me just see what's good in Chicago, like, and so eventually sort of like summer 2021, we were getting back outside, and like I had the podcast going for a while at this point, and so I was just like going to all these live shows of these artists I had interviewed, like sort of like for the first time, and that was just really cool to like see a ton of people that I just like known of via the internet and all that. Maybe they had like tuned into a show or something like that, and like getting to see that that live stuff was just so electric. And man, I mean, I try to go to like 2 or 3 shows a week ever since. Like,
when you came 2018 too?
I came fall 2017. Okay. I visited in April for the first time just to check out the school. Loved it, and I was like, "Hey, yo, Mom, I'm sorry, I'm not hitting that state school. I gotta go." And she was like, "You know what? As soon as we stepped off that plane and we saw the skyline, she's like, I knew you were gonna love it here. I knew you was gonna want to go here." I was like, "Hey, you wasn't wrong." So I came out here, and I kind of just was like chilling at Columbia. Ironically, I went there for film. They ended up introducing a hip hop studies minor like the year after, or maybe the year I started going there, and I took that as a minor because I wanted to use that to, navigate, like learn like music production stuff. Like they taught us how to run like Machine in Ableton, but then they kind of adapted it to where the back end of my college career was just kind of music business stuff to learn more about, like the industry and how it works. So that was really cool to be able to like kind of pick and choose and be able to have like the best of both worlds. Because at the end of the day, like I love film, but I love music. Like you said, we're going to like 2 shows a week at least. Like that's a lot of shows.
I hit him up whenever, like we live probably within a mile of each other, so it's just like I know folks are gonna be more than likely gonna be willing to pop out. Like we were at some was it Monday this past? Like we definitely have gone to Monday shows, or just like days where you wouldn't necessarily be at a show, but it's like it's really nothing because we can get back to our place like real quick and all that. So it's a good feeling.
That's what's up. When we and just being into media, film, and whatever you are into with music, we need that type of coverage out there. You know what I'm saying?
Every show's an opportunity too. It's like even if we're just like recording stuff, and that's what I didn't even realize is like. We're basically covering the show, even if we're just sort of like taking, photo and video and stuff of it. Like, even if that's just going on like our Instagram story or whatever, like people are seeing that at this point. And it's like, it's cool to think that even, something that like I was doing anyway, like I would have recorded that anyway and just posted it. But like, for that to have an impact and like be seen as like a cosign that's beyond me, man.
For real.
That's crazy.
Check it out. This device, man, we can
right.
shoot film, we can live stream, you know what I'm saying? So all that is coverage. But with y'all music starting for love of music, who was like some artists y'all was checking out like when y'all was like teenagers and everything?
Yeah, shit. You want to go first?
Sure, yeah. I mean, so when it comes to like, being shown music and stuff, I feel like a lot of people would say like, oh, my mom was into this type of stuff. My dad would play this around the house. I didn't really have a lot of that because my mom was working hella jobs. I was with my grandparents. So I kind of found like music on my own based on what was around me. So I would have my little iPod Nano and I would get iTunes gift cards and I'd have like $25 like a month to like, pick out some songs, go crazy. So
for real,
I really liked like Neo when I was younger. I really loved like that Year of the Gentleman album. That was like my shit when I was like 8 or 9.
For sure.
Like
I remember Miss Independent being on radio.
And that's a wild 8 or 9 album.
Right. I was a big Michael Jackson fan coming up. Like I don't even dance like that, but I remember I did like a Thriller dance with my homies in like the 4th grade at like our after school talent show. Like I don't know. I was just in my R&B bag when I was young. It was a lot of stuff. I also like I loved Jay-Z growing up. Like the one thing I can say did influence me a little is my stepfather grew up in the Bronx, so he put me onto like a lot of like the New York hip hop scene.
Oh, for sure.
Which probably, now that I'm thinking about it, influenced me a lot more than I think. But like even to this day, like he's only listening to stuff from like that like 90 like early 2000s like New York era. Like that's just what he grew up with. So that's what he stayed bumping like to this day.
Sure.
But yeah.
Yeah, I was taking the bus to school and it was a trek. Like it'd be an hour. and like, you know, the bus driver, you know, would just put on whatever radio, and that was like Power 105 in New York, like Hot 97. Sometimes it'd be like 92.3, Z100,
Right,
like
Z100.
some, right, you know, like, yeah, the classic, man, those morning shows
Elvis
used to be
Duran.
so, oh my God. It was like so like gossipy and dramatic, and like
Funny as hell.
For real.
But yeah, like I ended up like I probably found out about like Drake and Lil Wayne and all them, and like Birdman even, bro, like in like 2008 or something, from like hearing that on the radio, and then you know that kind of progresses, and like it's crazy to think about how like in like 2014, 2015, like acid rap by Chance actually like made its way out to like my neck of the woods, like in the burbs of New York, bro. Like people really playing Juice in class, like spreading that around, and I was like, I can't even really think of like stuff that everyone was listening to like that, you know, that had like such an impact on the people I was around. I was like, yeah, that was really formative. So like from there, you know, like like No Name and Saba and them all like got onto my radar, and then I just like Surf in 2015. I listened to like that Chance and that Chance project because I love his like jazzier stuff a lot. Did like some SoundCloud deep dives, and so I had love for a lot of Chicago artists before I even like thought about coming out here. And you know, to see like how everybody is, you know, like a lot of people are like still showing love to Chicago in their ways. Like they might not live here necessarily, but you know, coming back, like I got to see Pivot Gang at it was the Purple Block Party that Brianna and like Purple Gang Press put together. And that was a really cool experience. It's like I've been listening to them for like over 5 years. And that's the first time I like actually saw them do a set.
For real. And it's crazy. Acid rap was something that broke down the doors for like independent Chicago underground for me as well, because man, being so young and just having so many peers experiencing that, you know, because he was throwing shows, open mic, stuff like that. And even if I wasn't there, you would hear about it so much in school, you know. And even Saba too, though. Saba been doing this for a long time.
Yeah,
like
100%.
Since Comfort Zone. And oh my gosh, bro, Saba been cold for real. So when you actually got onto the scene, when did Real Ones start actually?
Yeah, so I mean, I was saying I had done like that concert coverage and all of that, and that led to like a couple of interviews, like the green room type of thing. And I loved that. Like it was cool to even like, I was a journalism major in school, so I love the idea of asking people questions that sort of like, you know, made them like scratch their head or something, be like, damn, that's a good question, you know? I feel like artists, you know, especially folks that are like really, really popular, you know, they might end up getting the same questions over and over, but it's like if you really say something that like subverts that, you know, or something like that, like that's kind of a high as a journalist. Like I'm sure y'all have that to an extent of like, you know, when somebody's like, that's a really good question, like that's a good feeling.
That's what we do it for.
Right. And I wanted to hold on to that in some way. Like I was actually very into sports broadcasting as well at that time, but that was like really not feasible to bring into like the pandemic world. There just weren't live sports happening.
That's very
and yeah, so there weren't live shows either, but like what I was knowing is like, man, I want to kind of see how all of these artists are dealing with this, like especially if performing is like a big part of your income. Like, you know, it's a lot going on, and like what I ended up finding out was like it ended up being a like, especially that period of isolation was like a really like restorative creative period for a lot of artists. Like it, and I found out it's like a lot of these folks are like a lot more introverted than I was expecting too. So the first interview I ever did for Real Ones was it was like out south actually, like it was like Blue Island, like way south. Like
you said the first show of Real Ones?
This is the first like podcast that we did.
Yeah, that's South Suburbs.
Blue Island, yeah, on the burbs, and I like drove there from Evanston, so that was crazy. But like I had my phone, and we were like socially distanced. We were on a park bench. We were social, yeah, bro, because like we didn't even know anything about COVID at that time. It was like you didn't really know it, like it wasn't really like an outside transmission type of thing. So we were just being careful. I think we probably had masks on or something, and I had like my iPhone like 6 or whatever recording this interview. It was with Brittany Carter, and yeah, man, like, you know, time goes on, we just like keep doing them, a lot of Zoom interviews, a lot of Instagram lives. May of 2021 we like locked in our first studio space. People started to get a little bit more comfortable coming outside and like doing the interviews in person. Recorded a lot that summer, and you know, just kept going with it. Like 2021 we were like lucky enough, like the Reader sort of like, we got enough people to nominate us for like the best music podcast in the city, and we actually we were nominated again this year, which is so crazy, like because I wasn't even really pushing that this year. Like now it seems like people actually like knew and were saying, and you know, we're like going and nominating us. But that's a really cool feeling. Voting ends, I think, like the 15th of February. So
for sure, make sure y'all
go
get
do
them,
that.
Yeah,
go
make
do
sure y'all
that.
get them votes in for sure. And shout out to y'all for putting in the work to even
Right.
receive that recognition. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And like, you know, building community like that is what I was just noticing is like a lot of these like group chats of Chicago creatives, a lot of Discord servers were just giving me the chance to like plug in and find people that were like not just trying to get on, but like were fans too and like wanted to hear the stories and all that. And like every time somebody tells me that like somebody listened to even like a full interview, like that's a big commitment, you know, to sit there and listen to me talking to someone for an hour. Like I'm always grateful for that. So like, yeah, but then the live shows started, it was our 2-year anniversary. So August of 2020, we threw our first show at Book Club, which is this like underground venue, DIY spot in like Lakeview, I would say around there. And sold it out, which was really cool. It was a small venue, but like, you know, to even just see that packed and like, you know, people having to wait in line to even get in, I was like, man, this is so cool. And like, it was all just like guests we had on in the past, and like, you know, we started to realize it's like we know a lot of artists and a lot of people that would be willing to perform with us, like, and the promotion for it was really cool. Like, I was like, I kind of want to keep doing this. Like, I like this wave. So we're like coming up on our 5th show now, you know, and lots more to come, like lot of cool live opportunities coming up. But yeah, I'm super happy to be involved. And then Tyrell sort of like hopped in on this along with like 3 other core kind of team members. So that would be Michael Moggetman, David Marquette, and Sydney Dorsey. Sydney is definitely involved on the creative side. Michael, he has this production studio that we've been like recording promo content at, and he's got access to these really high quality cameras that we've been like shooting the video interviews with, and then also like our show promo. And then David, he does our graphic designing and sort of like videography for the shows and all that. And you know, Tyrell's involved on the creative side as well. And man, I mean, he even this music video experience that he got, like that's something that we can eventually kind of like figure out a way to use. Like the idea of turning this into like a creative hub where people can kind of just hire us and we have like our creative services is like that'd be a great like spot to get to. You know, I don't think we're there yet, but you know, right now it's about like spreading awareness, man. You know, coming through and just doing good shows.
For sure. And most importantly, build y'all community. You know, you just said over time. I just from what you said, I think I heard 5 people. How many of y'all is in the total? Just 5 or more?
I mean,
yeah, like there's a lot of us that kind of, you know, work together to make this stuff happen.
Right.
But in terms of like the people that like, you know, are physically meeting up like in person to like, you know, talk about stuff, or like, you know, we starting to get into like weekly meetings and stuff. It's like, you know, the core 5 of us that he mentioned really just to like kind of get it popping, because now that we've been doing these live shows and we've been gaining momentum, we want to, you know, keep that momentum.
Right.
So, you know, you definitely need a team to, you know, put that stuff together. Events management is, you know, never easy, but, you know, it doesn't need to be hard either.
Absolutely.
Right.
And, you know, with the right team, which, you know, I've felt like we've had, and like, you know, I'm grateful for Ben for even bringing me on board, because I didn't expect it when it happened, but it was one of those things where it felt natural. It felt like the thing to do. And it's been going great since. So it's one of those things where it's when you have the right team, like the hard work doesn't feel like hard work. And it's more exciting than anything, because you're able to just get all these ideas flowing. And like, you know, even in terms of like marketing, like we've like had like some really fun like marketing ideas that, you know, some stuff that it's a little silly, it's a little goofy, but other stuff where it's like, man, that's really creative. Like I've never heard of people doing that before. Like, let's do that.
Yeah. We want to like, I just like to encourage everybody to get their ideas off, and like, you know, we see what we can actually do in the time, especially if it's like show promo, something like, how can we go and execute this? But you know, I mean, we've even like this month alone, it's crazy to think of like the shoots that we've gone through and executed, like the shows that we've thrown. So we had something back on January 12th. That was another show at Book Club. For that, we did this in this WWE kind of style, like show promo type of thing. I was like Bruce Buffer, you know, filling out like that. Yeah, that is out. You can see that. You can see that everywhere. We like, we were running it up on the Reels and TikTok and stuff, but. That was like that was just a cool thing of like, you know, we wanted to see people come out, because it was like the theme of the show was like Rage Cage. So we were like, how can people channel that rage? And we decided to like have everyone come through and like beat up this Minion character. And somebody had like a Minion, you know, head on, and like interestingly enough also like boxing gloves that were yellow. And I was like, we got to combine these two things and like we just create like a minion fight club type of thing, and just see what people think of it, man. Like it's super, no one's ever done that before. It's like, and that could be for a reason, right? Because like maybe that's just weird, but we wanted to just go try it, see what that would turn out.
For sure.
And for mic check coming up,
I gotta check that out.
Yeah, appreciate you, man. For mic check coming up, we went with something a little more conventional, which was the cipher, and that's, I feel like, has been received pretty well.
Right.
Like,
Very well.
Talking about like the like going back to real hip hop, how it's like people aren't like spitting like this anymore or anything like that, but that was cool to see, is like people talking about like the artists that were there, like bringing the bars back.
Yeah, I seen Heavy Crowns on that shit floating, so I'm like,
you always he went full off top.
I could tell, Heavy Crown special, man. So that's gonna be a dope show. I'm looking forward to that show for sure.
Yo, do us a favor and yourself a favor by hitting that subscribe button. Make sure to tap that notification bell as well so you can stay updated. Now let's get to the video.
One of my favorite things about y'all, I've been connected with y'all for some time, and it'd be crazy when I connect with people, then they come to the show, and it just be crazy. Like I've been connected with y'all for a minute, and I just be forgetting how long. But one of my favorite things about y'all is when y'all just make like the flyers of shows just going on around the city.
Yeah,
that goes a long way, and that's like I say, man, Chicago is a very vast city. And it kind of stood out to me when you say when you meet these artists or creatives or anything, they're more introverted than you think. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times we might be in our own little bubble, just navigating how we navigate out here. But it might be a dope show that one day, you probably just perhaps want to check out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So what brings y'all to just like to do things like that? Because that sometimes that help me. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I be definitely a navigator around. Even if I don't make it, I see like, okay, who on this bill? You know what I'm saying? So that kind of raise the eyebrow. So how do y'all come about doing stuff like that?
Man, like that's the amazing part, and like that's always the goal too, of like I really just like want to gather everything in one place. It started out like I wanted to do this for myself, like knowing what to hit up, and it's like, oh, if it helps other people, oh, then great. But but it was really just, we started to know so many artists, and it was like, man, these show opportunities are really piling up. Like at a certain point, like some folks, like, if they really want to like get on our radar, will like invite us out. Like it's the type of thing, when you have like a media sort of platform, like you probably, you had this before, but I mean, the idea is just to like, I would love even like if people are like coming through the city, like they're here for a weekend, right? And they want to see what to do. Like eventually they could like tap in with us, and like we got a good show recommendation. So it's like, and it's the same time, it's like, you put out there what you want to get back. It's like, and you got to be doing something dope on your own in order to get that love back. But it's like, if we're out here posting show flyers and like amplifying the music of a bunch of different artists, then it's like, the idea is, that ends up coming back to us, and then those artists, we're more likely to like get them on a show type of thing. And so that's it. It's just like, you put out love, and in a perfect world, you're getting the love back. And we've definitely felt a lot of that love so far. But and I think like one of the things when it comes to like booking that we really like to emphasize is like, since like our guests are just sort of in like different parts of the Chicago underground scene as a whole, like we don't really know who knows each other. Like it's sort of like almost an assumption of like, oh, this is really small, like maybe everybody knows everybody, but everyone doesn't really know everybody like that. So people who I was like, oh, you must know this person, they're like, nah, I never heard of that person before, but like they might be able to hear of new people. And like when we book shows, I like the idea of like taking artists from like totally different communities. They might make similar music and like flow together on a bill, but like I wouldn't like want to book an artist and like just put them on a lineup with their friends. Right. It's like I kind of want to like, I would hope that they can like, branch out and find a new audience. Like the artist, sort of like if you like this artist, you may like
Right.
Like, so that ends up, more people end up at the show that way too. So, it ends up working out in a lot of people's favor.
Facts. And I feel like that's an underrated challenge as an event curator, putting people in these predicaments where they can reach out to different demographics, you know what I'm saying? Because a north side demographic will be way different than the south side demographic. Right. Same with the west, same over east, you know what I'm saying? So like that's a major challenge, and I love seeing artists that's up to that challenge, because you would never know who you would meet at a show. You never know who traveling through town. this might be your next biggest fan in this crowd, you know. So hey, it's worth it, you know.
Yeah. I remember there was this time, like, you probably have heard this, you know, from folks, but just like the idea of people coming through and like saying, hey, I never even heard of this artist, like, thank you for putting me on, is like,
exactly,
that's the greatest, man. Like, and seeing even artists that we book like go on to do, like, have an opportunity here and have an opportunity there, like, even to like, to sort of break that artist and introduce them, is like, that's the influence we kind of would like hope to have. Like, I like being early on folks and like giving people that first shot, you know, to like get their stuff off live in a live setting, like, and hopefully it's a big crowd there, you know, embracing them and all of that.
Real talk.
Y'all speak so highly of Chicago, and I love it, because a lot of Chicago narrative comes from YouTube and YouTube narratives. Sure, so with y'all coming from New York, y'all wasn't a little weary about, you know, moving around Chicago?
Yeah. I mean, like, you know, we could both speak on that, but like, it's you definitely got to be careful, and it's like, you know, it definitely also, like, as things continue to grow, it's like, you know, you got to like, you got to be careful, you know, about how you're moving around, like, you know, if people like, even, you know, posting up a show is like, do people need to know where you are every second of every day type of thing, and like, you know, conflicts are eventually going to get in the way. Like, you hear a lot about like the whole crabs in a bucket thing of like a lot of artists, you know, feeling like they are not, you know, supported by the local scene, or like something happens and then like somebody like will switch up, and then all of a sudden, like, you know, the people that have been riding with them the whole time, you really haven't like aren't putting on for them the same way that they were. And like, you know, we see that too, but it's like, I feel like that's not, even with like our live shows and what we're playlisting and all that, like we almost prefer to cover artists before they've broken, like when it's still at that underground level. Like, you know, artists can almost like graduate beyond real ones in a sense, like, because, you know, if folks get to a certain state, it's not that they don't need us, but it's like we just want to focus on other people, because it's like, you know, it's people that are still out here coming up. Like, I have like a, you know, it's a couple friends of mine that I feel like I could probably like hop on the show that are like, you know, have gotten to like a pretty solid audience behind them, but it's like, you know what, like that you have like the national press that can pay attention to you now, like, you know, we'd rather get the next one up type of thing. Right. Yeah, I mean, you know, what would you think about that?
Nah, because at the end of the day, like, you know, finding the people that, you know, are your peers and are on, you know, a similar level to where you are, and like working with them to help raise them up, they help raise you up, like we're all climbing together. And at the end of the day, like, you know, that's what it's really about. Like for me personally, like if you're, you know, looking for new artists or looking for new music, like looking for those small artists, trying to find like that gold, you know, in the like 60,000 to like 100,000 songs that being uploaded daily, like that's way more exciting than, you know, going to listen to the new, you know, mainstream, you know, whoever song. Because, you know, you find one of those artists and you really strike some gold, and then you get to follow their career, you get to watch their growth, and at the end of the day, that's a really beautiful thing. Like, I have friends from like the Jersey scene who, you know, I've been homies with some people, like, and I've watched them grow for the past like 5-6 years, and now they're at a point where like I'm seeing them get attention from like all these like big names in the industry and stuff, and you know, or they're going on tours, and I'm like, man, that's really beautiful to see, because you know, at the end of the day, like the journey is what makes it special. Like, you know, the destination's great, but being able to see that, being able to like root for somebody all the way, and like seeing them win, like, I don't know, I'm somebody where I love seeing people win. I love seeing, you know, my people win, and there's just no greater feeling than that. Like, you know, at the end of the day, like, support who you want. If you want to support, you know, the people at the top, like, that's great, do your thing. But really looking for that gold, and, you know, watching those people grow and, you know, hear their artistic evolution, watch the evolution of, like, you know, their looks, their branding, you know, even like their videos and stuff like that. It's irreplaceable. You can't, you know.
Real talk, man.
We get real proud. You know,
I hear it, and that's what's up. That's how y'all know y'all really in it. You know, because it's a lot of stuff and a lot of things that we do. It could be whatever to anybody. Like, okay, I'm just here. Just like if you coming through here. Oh yeah, I'm interviewing you, but what do I gain from this interview? You know, am I actually learning something? Am I learning about y'all's story? Just like if it's a music artist in here, and they come through, I probably heard a few songs bound. Right. But like they could sit next to an interview was done. Have I learned something? Have I gained something? Am I gonna continue to play my part in support? Yeah. But when you really talk about it and it light a fire inside of you, that's like real inspiration, you know. So I love to hear stuff like that, man.
Yeah. Anytime I'm like having, and it was those like long conversations with artists that really even like made me want to be around, you know, people in music consistently, because I was just like, you know, it's just these stories of people like kind of even just rejecting the idea that, oh, you know, you gotta like provide like even kind of like what's defined under like capitalism as like this productive thing, like, you know, servicing the entire world. It's like, nah, like you should be able to like, you know, make a living off of being a creator and stuff. And so that's something that I'm always gonna go and support, because like, you know, I mean, entertainment is like, that's like the zest of life, bro.
Exactly.
Like we need that. And so
For sure.
you know, want to keep, you know, hopefully giving people opportunities to like make that their career.
For sure. Y'all
Hold
got.
on, let me ask them this.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Now, with y'all being so focused on the underground culture, do y'all think that's sustainable in the next 5 to 10 years? Because it's like, it sounds like y'all happy where y'all at,
Right.
but at some point it gotta be some growth.
Right. And so like that's the question of like, you know, do we want to look at bigger venues eventually? We want to like eventually connect with a lot of artists that are, you know, out of town. Like I see Chicago, I see like almost like a national audience kind of like getting in tune with us, because we're sort of like, we want to sound the alarm about like what people on the coast are missing, because you know, a fact of Chicago is there's not the type of like label and industry infrastructure. This is what people talk about from time and time again, right? Like what is Chicago known for if it's sonics, because, you know, drill and even like house and all of that like have come from here, spawned from here, and like made it to the coast. But it's like, are the artists here, you know, getting to that next level? So like, I mean, I see the future sort of like, it's a couple different ways we could go with it. Like, you know, we're definitely like happy where we're at right now, as you said, but like in terms of ways to like go forward, it's like, you know, the creative services idea is something really cool, of like coming through, being able to like put a live show together, going through like the promoter route, going on like the, even like trying to like develop artists around here, taking like a more hands-on role in that, because Tyrell and I, we both dabble in artist management. Michael is also an artist manager out here for an artist named Simba. And yeah, so it's like, you know, we want to like just keep increasing our like tool belt and all of that, so we can like continue to service folks. But like eventually it's like we want to bring these Chicago artists to like the people that might be able to make that difference on the coast. And like, you know, saying like, hey, you know, y'all are sleeping on this. Like when people from like LA and New York come through here, I feel like I love being the person that can like, you know, take them to a cool show and being like, hey, you know, here's what's going on around here that you're like missing and ignoring, because these people aren't like right with you in like these networky situations out in LA.
And another thing that I feel like, you know, to answer that question also is like, the Real Ones team has expanded a lot, like just in the past like 6 months. Like I wasn't here 6 months ago, so I think, you know, although like we said, like we're happy where we are, growth also comes with expansion. So, you know, over time, like the team's probably gonna get bigger. We're probably gonna, you know, get more members that, you know, we have over time. Like we have a group chat where we call it, you know, Real Ones Chicago chapter. That's, you know, just kind of what it's called.
That's a working title.
Right, so it is a working title. It is a working title. But at the same time, I see that and it makes me think like, you know, what if we were able to have, you know, teams based out of different areas and, you know, kind of make it a bigger thing like that eventually.
It'd be cool to throw a show wherever.
Hey, you never know.
Bring Chicago artists even to like the, you know, the coasts and all of
and
that.
have it be like somewhere it's like, this is where we're based out of, but at the same time, you know, we're also, you know, working to expand. But at the end of the day, like this is where we started. You know, this is always gonna be number one type of thing.
Just like shows like Rolling Loud, they had to start at one location. You know, they had to hold that location down for so long. Then, you know, expand their circle. You know,
and now they're in Portugal.
Exactly. Amen. Ain't no telling. And that's just for the expansion in itself in hip hop. You know what I'm saying? And music and just the love of it. It's all overseas, man. So who knows? Y'all can do that, you know?
Yeah. Right. I mean, that's another thing of like, you know, another part of expansion is just like checking out more different like genre stuff too. Like we've been very hip hop focused and all of that, but then there are like a lot of like indie artists like Tyrell, your homies like have that band Wolf Road that kind of like this alt punk, you know, band. And I went and saw them and I was like, man, like they're really doing something for these fans. So it's like, you know, that's another artist, you know, we got to like sort of think about that booking wise, like who are people really, really responding to in like a live setting, you know, even beyond like the streams in terms of like who we want to get on stuff moving forward. Like, you know, we don't want to categorize it in any way, but I mean, this did start out as a hip hop thing, and so, you know, we're always gonna like pay respect to that for like getting to where, you know, this is at right now, and, you know, where it's going to continue to go.
And there's so many genres in the city that you really do got to acknowledge. Just like it's an underground for hip hop, it's underground for rock, metal, punk, everything you can name. You know what I'm saying? Jazz, we could keep going.
Like electronic,
for sure.
Dance. Yeah.
Man, and they all get their flowers when people pick up on them. You know, I definitely see a lot of different type of genres in the Chicago arena. But speak on y'all show, Mic Check, that's happening this Tuesday, and the bill and what spectators and showcomers can expect.
Yeah, we're super excited. I mean, we shot this cypher, you know, to go and promote, which was awesome. Like, you know, the idea is just really coming back to like boom bap style hip hop, which we hear a lot of here, and like, and also sort of like sample rap of like, you know, flipping something from the 80s and like, you know, just rapping over that. Like, that's a genre I always really drew to. Heavy Crowns has been an artist that I've been in tune with probably since like the summer of 2021.
For sure.
I saw him, I think like Mother Nature probably brought him out for something, and then like he did this whole Great Cypher thing with the Great Thinkers, and it's always been love with them to like sort of like get him on a lineup is amazing. I've seen him live several times at this point. And, you know, I mean, he's just like, he's put his time in.
Great performer.
Like, he's always going to give 110%. So Mugen the Human, he's also on the bill, and it's been somebody, we've been tapped in for a little while, but I feel like he's really getting to the stage where it's like things are going to start to change for him. Like, he's locked in a whole different way, and like confidence is something that I'd noticed, you know, and it's like you can fake that, but it's like I feel like we can almost see through, and I feel like this is genuine. Like, I feel like he really is he's on something. Like, by the end of this year, I expect like great things for him.
Oh, 100%, because he's somebody where I've known about him for a couple years through Columbia, because I was taking a class through Amp Records over there, so I actually had the pleasure of working with Moo like a couple years back, and it was one of those things where to hear his sound like just 2 years ago to like the stuff he's putting out now, like he's such a diverse artist. He could do with like so many lanes, and he's talented in like all of them. And it's great to see that his like most recent project has been picking up like a lot of steam, getting a lot of love and a lot of flowers, because it's well deserved. Like I've been seeing this talent for a couple of years now, so like I agree with Ben. Like I have a feeling like, you know, by the end of this year, like it's gonna be like a whole new level for him, and I love to see that. I can't wait for that.
Plug his album project real quick.
It was For Her Consideration.
For her, a little 3-track.
And
he could rap his ass off. Like, he had one of the best like written verses of that whole cipher. Like, but that project that he just dropped is a little more indie and alt too. So it's like you can get in a lot of different bags, which I love.
Right.
And then just real quick, the last two artists. So like Neff was somebody who like actually had DM'd the Real Ones page, just like, hey, check out my project. And I was like, this is really good. Like, I'm glad you sent this to me. You know, I always try to check submissions because I find good stuff in there. Like, so, I mean, that's been the case for some of our bookings where it's just like, you know, sometimes we've just been like, hey, send us some stuff, or even not being like that and just checking through. And like, you know, eventually when people are bringing the music to us, that's an amazing feeling. So Neff and Nigel are going to be on the lineup. Neff and Nigel can rap, man. Like, they can really, really rap. So we're excited for that. And then Aero Austere, it's going to be their first show in Chicago as like a solo artist. And I found them, I think they were a guest on this artist Cici Maravilla's set out in the Hideout, probably like this past summer or early fall. And I was really digging their vibe. Like, so I went and looked them up, and like they had this one song that like had a kind of a TikTok moment that was just really like this dreamy sort of like alt hip hop type of track, and like they can fit into like the boom bap type of thing, but they also make, you know, sort of like that genreless type of music. So I think it's just going to be a good, you know, fusion of music, like, and you know, we love to give somebody their first opportunity to like perform in a cool setting as well. So like to give Aero that opportunity is amazing. Like, so you know, it's going to be a good show. And matter of fact, we're going to have these available right here. So this is our first merch design. Here we got this. This one right here. Wherever y'all looking. But yeah, we brought this for y'all actually as just a commemorative thing. But yeah, our 3D printing.
That's a rolling tray.
It's a
that was 3D printed.
Yeah, it's a rolling tray. But it's also crazy. Like, it's funny. We posted them and someone was like, "Oh, is that a soap dish?" And I was like, It could be like so. If you smoke, you don't smoke. Like,
hey, we appreciate
come
that.
cop one of these.
That's going on the Wall of Fame with other Chicago treasures all through here. So we appreciate y'all for sure.
Facts. Let me ask y'all this question.
Yes, sir.
If y'all can go back and give y'all younger self any advice, what would it be?
Hey, you should start on that one.
I should start on that one.
I gotta think.
That's a toughie. If I had to go back and give myself advice, I would probably say just trust the process and, just don't stop moving forward. Because, like, at the end of the day, everything's going to work out the way it's supposed to as long as you keep moving. Because the way my life is gone, I had a plan. And the way I kind of feel about plans now is plans are almost made to be unraveled. Like, you want everything to go a certain way, but unfortunately, life will get in the way. That's just real. That's how it happens.
That was a huge pandemic thing, I think.
Facts.
Right. But it's also one of those things where, like, I'm in a lot of positions where I never expected myself to be in, but at the same time, I'm completely happy here. And looking back on it, it's almost like, how did I not see this coming? Just because it wasn't what I was planning, but at the end of the day, it was still what I was working towards.
For real.
So at the end of the day, it's like, just trust yourself and keep going. And, when it's your time, it'll be your time.
Real talk.
Tyrell's one of the greatest energy dudes I've, like, basically ever met. Like, he can put a positive spin on, like, just about anything. You need that type of person on a team.
You need
like,
that, for real. You need that.
Like, man, it's amazing. But, I mean, to answer that question myself, I mean, and I tell myself this still, but just, like, I need to get out of my head,
Absolutely.
Sometimes, and especially, like, as you sort of start to meet artists that are, like, at a larger level, just sort of remembering that everyone's human and just treating them as such. Like, it's really no use in, like, fanning out. Like, you can kind of, like, you can tell people you respect their work, but it's like, as you continue to, like, have these conversations with folks, it's like, I want to be able to just, like, relate to people on a more personal level. Like,
right.
Not just going in there and being like, oh my God, like, I love your music, talking about something like that. This got me through this difficult time. It's like, there's a time and place for that. But, like, as we continue to advance, it's like, these are our peers now. Like, these are going to be our peers is the thinking,
Right.
So it's like, yeah, just trust that, like, I think what we got going on, like, has value. And, like, I saw this thing, it was like, if your talent has been validated in multiple spaces, like, you got to stop ignoring that. And I feel like, as we continue to throw shows, people continue to show up, like, I'm over here thinking to myself almost before every show, like, oh, no one's going to show up to this. Like, no, it's never going to happen. Like, but I mean, people are going to pull up, like, and we just got to remember that and just, trust ourselves.
For real. And if you do good work, man, it'll be reciprocated for sure.
All right, before we get out of here, tell everybody how to get in tune with y'all, stay in tune with y'all, find everything y'all got going on.
Yeah, of course. So on all social media platforms, Instagram, Twitter, and then TikTok as well, at Real Ones Show, Real Ones and then Show. So that's 2 S's in there. And then my personal IG if you want it, at ben.m. But I mean, I like the Real Ones thing more. I don't know. My personal account is like kind of whatever. I just kind of do whatever on there. But
right.
yeah, I'm Tyrell.
Literally. And yeah, if y'all want my personal, mine is Tyrell.Alejandro. Very simple. But keeping tuned with Real Ones. We got that show coming Tuesday the 31st. It's gonna be great. And it's some more stuff coming down the pike actually. So
sure.
February 3rd at Reggie's, we're gonna be sponsoring a show featuring Morgan Golds, Kalia X, Mila La Morena, and Gayun Cannon. That's gonna be really dope. That's this coming Friday. February 15th, we're actually breaking this news right now, but we're going to be at Shuba's for a Valentine's Day show. That's going to be Mommy, Harry, HXRY, Simba, and Akira Ray. That's going to be really exciting. And then we got more stuff coming up, potentially sponsoring a show in early March, as well as a panel talking about music industry advice. We've teamed up with this author who's like going to do an event for his book. So like, stuff's coming, we got a birthday show we might figure out for myself like end of March. We want to do a 420 thing, do something for Gay Pride in June. So it's the calendar going to be full. Let me tell you that. Just keep in tune.
Keep it though.
All right, Jimmy, talk to the people.
Yes, sir. Hey, shout out Ben and Tyrell of the Real Ones, man. We appreciate y'all for sliding through, man. And I'm going to just break it down like this. When you follow someone, you probably see them out here and there, and you hear about the good work they doing. That's one thing. But when you sit down and connect and you give them a chance, an avenue to tell their story, man, that's almost everything. You know what I'm saying? Especially when it comes to perception. You know, I appreciate the work y'all put in, the enthusiasm y'all showed to the city of Chicago. Cause I don't really, for me, I hear people when they come to Chicago, they just like passing through. Oh, I've been to the city. I seen the Bean.
Right.
I ate some Portillo's.
I went to O-Block.
Right.
I had
because
some
that's a
Giordano's.
tourist destination now.
Yeah, but you don't really hear people that's here. Then they hook on the city, like it gives them a drive, it gives them a pump. And when it be people from out of town, they probably like the Bulls or something. You know, they probably like the Michael Jordan. They talk about the 1985 Super Bowl. You know, they probably love the Cubs comeback. But do they really want that extra effort, or do they want to put in that extra effort? So shout out to y'all from not even being from here, but found a reason to make this a community for y'all. You know, perception is everything. You know, y'all did what y'all could and doing what y'all can to continue that community building. So shout out to y'all, man.
And thanks to y'all both.
For sure.
No, 100%.
When we were first doing these interviews, like really back in 2020, like it would be some overlap with iLLANOiZE sometimes with who I was interviewing, and I would like listen to those interviews all the time. This was like one of the outlets that like really taught me a lot about Chicago, and so this is like really, really cool moment for me. I want to make sure I said that.
Oh yeah, we appreciate that, man, for sure. You know, that's another part of community building, man. We all in media together, so if y'all over here holding it down, we over here holding it down. You know, that's how it get around. That's how good word get around. You know, so make sure y'all, if y'all out and about in the city looking for something to do Tuesday night, get in tune with the Real Ones Mic Check Show. Stay in tune with them. Go follow them on IG, Twitter, everything. Get into with upcoming events. Follow Ill Sound Radio, ILLSOUND Radio. Follow me, Groove Nuke, GROOVNUKE. Make sure y'all submit music. We stream music 24/7. Be on the lookout for that iLLANOiZE app. And Jay, what you got to say to him?
Man, salute to both of you fellas. That question I asked y'all about the growth and where y'all see it going, you answered that perfectly. Because we have a lot of people in Chicago that only focus on Chicago, not really having record labels and all these things, instead of creating a bridge to record labels. So how you answered that question was perfect because everybody complaining about it, nobody doing anything about it. So for y'all to come from New York and New Jersey and, like he say, set up shop in Chicago and find a lane that y'all can create to help Chicago artists is amazing. And that's not only for Chicago rap artists, that's for any artist in Chicago. So I salute both of you fellas for just wanting to be that bridge and embracing that road, because it's a lot that come with that.
Man,
it's a lot that come with not actually receiving that big recognition. You know what I'm saying? Because y'all want to push artists to the next level, and I want, when artists are actually pushed by y'all, for them to reach back and be like, man, these are some of the first people that ever fucked with me.
That's important to us too. You know, it's like, hey, if you're doing some crazy tour and you remember that, we put you on first, like, I guess I'll take that guest list pass. You know,
for real. Because at the same time, that's gonna elevate y'all in another light. You know what I'm saying? To get other artists that may never heard of the Real One shows or may don't know y'all personally, they gonna reach out and they gonna start to build with y'all. Because you never know that one artist that's take off and be like, man, I want y'all to come with me. You know. So salute to both of you fellas, man. Keep working, keep grinding.
Yes, sir.
That's all I got to say for that, man.
Appreciate
it. Thank you for having us.
No doubt.
Y'all sliding. Till next time, y'all.
Ill Sound Radio. I got to play some Biko.